Hey everyone, how's everyone doing? I'm here with my co-host,
Eliza Abramson with
Aurus Julius Sanchez. How's everyone doing? Hope you're having a great day, having a great week, because we definitely are.
Yep, today's hat day, guys.
Yes, it is. Hat day. I'm a Yankees fan, and she's a...
I have no idea what my hat says.
It says French Riviera.
Ah,
It's not a team, but or maybe it is. Who knows?
you know what? I think I support the French Riviera more than a sports team. So
It's fine.
it's a good hat.
It's fine. You suck. The point is that... All right, guys. Today's topic is all about what are the right ways to break up with someone?
Mm-hmm.
This is such a touchy subject.
Yeah. But just to specify a little bit, because guys, we're probably going to do a couple of different videos on this because it's such a broad topic as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we're just talking like you've been dating for maybe like 6 months, is like something like that, no?
Okay. Yeah.
Around 6 months.
Because, like as Eliza mentioned, there's different levels. Like sometimes maybe you're dating someone for a couple months. So it's much. This is basically the rule of thumb. The longer the relationship is, the harder it is to leave it or to break off, because there's a lot of emotions, a lot of experiences, a lot of time has been dealt in and invested.
Exactly, the word I was about to use, invested.
Invested, right? So this video is for if you're like anywhere from 6 months, maybe a little bit, maybe even a little bit more, but also less than that time frame.
Yeah, like around that.
Yeah, and basically how you can break up with that person the right way, and not ghosting them and not being mean.
Please don't ghost people, guys. It's like the single most immature thing you can do in a relationship.
Why would you say that?
Because it's like a big cowardly move, you know? When you're talking to someone in person, it's kind of hard to not like actually speak to them, to not actually acknowledge that they exist. When you ghost someone, you're basically telling the person that I don't care that you exist. I disregard any feeling you had beforehand because I don't care enough to communicate with you and let you know what's going on. I'm just going to disappear. So I'm completely prioritizing myself over the other person, right? So that means that you are literally doing the most selfish thing that you can. You are just putting yourself there.
But what if the person's like, but I didn't really mean to do that. It's just that I don't know how to break up with them. I don't want to hurt their feelings. That was not my intention.
It doesn't really matter what your intentions are. The fact is that when you ghost someone, you hurt them, right? And if you were in a relationship with this person beforehand, why would you want to hurt them? You might want to break up with them, but hurt them, that's a completely different scenario. Hurting them is like they did something bad to you. In that case, maybe you have some kind of conversation, maybe it's safer to ghost them. But if that person hasn't hurt you and you just don't want to explain to them because you're scared of their reaction, that's very much you putting yourself in like the only person with feelings that counts, you know, and that's not fair to the other person. And if you were mature enough to be in a relationship with the other person, you're mature enough to also break up with the other person properly.
Makes sense. Makes completely sense.
Yeah.
Now, Eliza, please explain to the people who are watching. Trust me, a lot of people will be watching this video. What is the essential way for a man or woman to break up with that other person for whatever reason? For whatever reason, we don't know the specifics of your situation, but what is the best way to do it and why?
So the way specifically to do it, there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. But there's one thing that I would say that you definitely have to keep in the background of your mind before you go into that conversation, that across the board, you have to keep that in your mind, that whoever you are breaking up with, they are an adult with or without you. They're a person with or without you, right? So you can't decide their emotions for them. You can't decide their reactions for them. All you can do is communicate what you're feeling and what's going on with you because you do not know who they are. So a lot of people tell me that like they're scared to break up because they don't want the other person to start crying and they don't want the other person to say like, oh, I'm going to commit suicide now and all those things. And sure, you don't want that person to do that, but you got to understand that that's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to communicate with them, and their responsibility is to handle their own emotions. And as an adult, you have to respect them enough to believe that they can handle their own emotions. And if they can't, then you got to break up with them right away because that person definitely cannot be in a healthy relationship because then they're getting to something that's called enmeshed.
What is that?
Enmeshed is basically like, there's like this show on TLC, I don't know if anyone's heard of it, it's called Smothered, where basically these daughters and mothers, they're completely just overly intertwined into each other's life. Like there's one thing where like the mom will go have a bath, and then like if the water's still warm, her daughter goes into the same bath.
Oy.
and like things like that, and they sleep in each other's beds and like things like that. That's overly enmeshed, where your own sense of being is dependent on being with someone else. It's dependent on someone else. You cannot be a person without them. So if someone is getting to the point where you feel like you're going to do something that's going to cause them to like commit suicide or something like that, that person is enmeshed with you. And that is one of the most unhealthy power dynamics in a relationship you can have. And that person needs to work on themselves before they can really be in a relationship, in my opinion. But once again, this is all opinion. So that's what I think. What do you think?
So I think everything you just said is completely correct. Completely correct. You know, there's a lot of people who are probably watching. They're also probably thinking, well, instead of me going through this heartache, instead of me going through the whole breakup process, maybe I'm missing out on something. Maybe I should just stick it in and maybe last another year, or just maybe I'm just being too picky.
You mean
or
stick it out?
Stick it out. What did I say?
Stick it in.
I said stick it in. I meant stick it out, guys. I'll stick it out. I'll stick it out, and then maybe like I'll figure out a way to like them more or love them more. Now, a lot of people think this way because it's much easier to like not break up with someone than to break up with someone. Now, personally, me, that is probably the most poisonous, deadliest, one of the most deadliest poisonous things you can do to yourself. Because if after a certain time, if you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it. And eventually, if you continue to stick it out, right? That's the correct way of saying it, right? To stick it out, eventually you're gonna start feeling feelings of resentment, like you're missing out on hanging out with other people, being with someone else, and you won't realize that you're having feelings of resentment, and you're acting so mean and hostile toward that person, even though quote unquote they didn't do anything to you. They're like trying their best, but you're being so aggressive and mean to them, and it's because you felt bad for them, you felt pity, and you tried to stay with them. Like, I'll stick it out, I'll try to like them, I'll find a way. If by a certain time, if you haven't, guess what, guys? It ain't gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen for whatever reason. So if you're in that road, right, trust me, it's much better, as they say, to get rid, to like how do you call it, to
Rip off the bandage?
to rip off the bandage, than to leave it there for a much longer time, and then it gets much worse and it's harder to rip off. It's better to do it now than to do it later.
Yeah, and actually building off of that point, I really like what you said about how you should just rip off the bandage. Now, there's a lot of people think that they need a reason to break up with someone, right? And maybe if you're married, you need a reason to divorce them. Or if you're in a very long-term relationship, you need a real reason to separate from someone, something that you've already made a commitment to. But when you're dating, that's really a period where you're evaluating if you want to make a commitment to someone. You haven't made a commitment to them yet. You're still evaluating, right? So in that 6 months range, like a lot of people struggle with this because they didn't do anything wrong. I don't really need to break up with them. I just don't really like them. And like, they're like all in like this iffy, weird category because they don't know how. They don't have a legitimate in their head reason to break up. But that whenever I hear that, I go a little nuts. I'm like, what do you mean? You don't need a reason to break up with someone. You need reasons to stay with someone. If you don't have a reason to stay in that relationship or a reason to want to be with that person, then you're not doing either of yourselves a favor. You're not helping the other person, because if they're not right for you, you're not right for them either. So then you're not helping anyone by just sticking it out or by just saying, oh, maybe I'll learn to like them. You're not helping anyone. Unless you've made a commitment, your time dating should be spent really seeing if you want to be there. And if you don't want to be there, if you don't have it's like, okay, let's say you had to go to a party, right? And you have a couple of options, and you go to the first one on your list because you don't know which one you want to go to. And the party's not terrible. It's not great. It's just a party, right? Is there any reason why you shouldn't leave and check out the other parties?
No, you can leave.
No. Now, if the party's terrible, do you leave?
Yes.
If the party is great, do you leave?
No.
Exactly. It's the same thing with dating. If this person's great, that's a reason to stay because it's great. But if it's only okay, that's a reason to go. You don't have to settle, guys.
And it's interesting because there's so many times where, guys, let's try to avoid this, but we're also going to give you an alternative. Everyone, their go-to answer is like, it's not you, it's me. It's so cliche and so overused. Now, is there an alternative to, it's not me, it's not you, it's me. Of course, there's other alternatives. You can still go with that model that it's not really, because a lot of times that is the truth. Actually, a lot of times it is the truth, where it's not really the other person. Like you mentioned, the other person didn't do anything wrong, but it's just you. Maybe you don't have a specific reason, but you don't want to be there anymore. So a lot of times it is you. It has nothing to do with the other person. But when
how you phrase that.
That's how you phrase it. Because when you say those words like, shut up, you're so full of it, you're such a liar, leave me alone, and everything ends in a bad taste. But there's other ways. And you mentioned something the other day when we were speaking about this, where how another way and how you can phrase this, it's not you, it's me. Where Annalisa said this perfectly. Do you remember last time you were mentioning about, of my goals? And can you please mention that to the camera, to the people who are watching?
So I'm going to give you the structure of it first, and then I think we could role play one.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so the structure of this is, first of all, don't say the phrase, it's you, it's me. You want to specify what it is exactly about you that's making you not want to be in this relationship, right? Meaning that you're coming from the state of like, well, it's not you, it's me. But when you're explaining something that someone actually cares about a lot, they have to really understand your reasoning, right? So let's say you're just not feeling it, right? When you're explaining that, you're going to want to explain to them how it's important for you that in a relationship you do feel it, that you do have a certain spark, things like that. Something that you both agree on, right? Like let's say both of you agree on that in a relationship there should be passion, there should be all those things. You start off with that. And then you go into, but you're not feeling that and you don't want to hurt them. Then you start listing all of the good things this person has. You list all their good qualities. And you say, and I really would love it if you were this person type of thing, but I'm not feeling it, so I don't think we are a match. Don't put the blame on them. Don't put the blame on yourself. Just make it like a fact. This is what it is, so we have to respond to it. You don't want to waste their time. But let me show you what that means in actuality, because it can sound a little abstract and vague right now, right? So let's say I'm breaking up with you. You ready? And it's because, let's say we're going from the standpoint of, okay, let's do. You okay?
I was crying. Okay, go. There you go.
You didn't know it was coming yet.
Oh, okay, go.
So let's say, which scenario should we do?
Okay, so she's breaking up with me, and
why am I breaking up with you?
What?
Why am I breaking up with you?
Cause you just you dated me a couple of months, but you're just not feeling it. You're just not feeling it. She's a lot of times it's just you're just not feeling it, and they're just not the right person for you. And you just feel a lot of times we make decisions emotionally, not logically, because this is all emotions. What you're feeling, you're attracted. How's their personality? You connected spiritually, a whole bunch of stuff. Okay. So there's a lot of emotions going on. Okay, ready? Go.
And then we're gonna switch this, by the way, and he's gonna do his approach. He's gonna explain. You're not going to? No.
Okay.
That's it. We're over. I'm kidding.
Wow. Okay, go.
He shoots me. You see? You didn't have to worry about me committing suicide. He shot me. Wow.
That's the way to do it, guys. Get yourself a shotgun. I'm kidding. Okay, ready? Go.
FBI, this is not true.
No, this is not true. We're just kidding. Go.
Okay, ready? Hi, Aurus.
What happened? Is everything okay?
Not really. I actually wanted to speak.
I'm sorry. Continue. Sorry, guys.
Yo, stay in character.
Okay, sorry.
I really wanted to speak to you about something because I've been doing a lot of thinking lately.
Oh no.
What?
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Let me tell you what's on my mind, and then we can go into that.
Okay.
So I know we've spoken a lot in the past about how in a relationship you should both feel like a lot of excitement, and you should both want to talk to each other and never run out of things to talk about, and there should be a lot of passion, right? And I've been thinking a lot lately because I know that I really want that, and that's really important to me, and that I won't be able to stay in a relationship properly or really be involved in a relationship fully without that. And it's so hard because, I've been thinking, but you have all these amazing qualities, right? Like, you're so smart, you're so funny, you have great ideas for where we should go out. We always have a great time. But the thing is, I feel like we do run out of things to talk about sometimes. And I do feel like that we have a lot of great qualities together, but it's not all of the qualities that I need in a relationship.
But that's normal. We're gonna run out of things to say. That's normal. So what are you talking about?
It is normal, but there's a certain feeling that you need to have as well. You have to have a certain desire to overcome that with a person, right? And I really thought about this a lot because we are great together. You know, we have a really good time. The thing is, I just don't think that that's enough to justify a relationship. And I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to lead you on. I don't want to put you into a relationship where I can't give you everything I have. I don't think that's fair to you.
Wow, you made me waste 6 months of my time. That is messed up. So we're gonna end it there because then
No.
But that was perfect what she did. That was
The
perfect.
way you do that. But you guys have to stick to that tone. So wait, let's continue
Well, let's
through
continue.
that.
Okay.
Like, or
Because the rest of me is gonna be like cursing her out now. Not because usually a lot of times when this happens, people get angry, emotional, sad.
But the point of this is they can react however they want, and that's their decision.
Yes.
You have to do what is correct and moral and sensitive, and then after that you can let your conscience be clear, because then that's up to them to handle their own emotions, right? So if Auru starts cursing me out, okay, then I can exit the situation, and no, it's not gonna feel good, but this way, like 2 years down the line, Aurus can't come up to me and say that I lied to him or
That's true.
that I was leading him on, because I didn't. I'm telling him. Ready?
It's very interesting. Now I would go a little bit different. Aliza, if you saw her, the way she structured the whole thing, is that she started a certain way. I personally, I would flip it a little bit. I loved this approach, right? I would just say it immediately. So let's say we're like speaking, and I say, hey, Aliza, I really want to speak to you about something that's been on my mind, and I really want to share with you.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna say it, and I'm gonna explain to myself what I'm feeling and what I'm trying to put together, which is, I don't want to keep leading you on. We've had a good time, but honestly, I can't continue on with this relationship. I can't.
Wait, back up. Well, what are you even talking about? We've been going great for 6 months.
So before I continue, pause. So right there, I start off. Of course, I'm not being mean or anything, but I immediately start with the bad news. When you want to tell something to somebody, and they're like, and you tell them, do you want to hear the good news or the bad news? People usually say, give me the bad news first, so they can get it over with already. So I like to get it over with immediately already.
Now, what he's doing is he's doing 2 things, right? First of all, he's determining the conversation right there, so he can't chicken out, right? He can't decide halfway through the conversation like, never mind, I don't want to talk about this right now. But what he's also doing is he's shocking my mind so much that I'm literally just stuck on the breaking up. Now, the danger in that is that he might have to have another conversation with her, because she might be like not even hearing what he's saying afterwards, just because she's so stuck on the words, you want to break up with me. Or the words that you said, like, you don't want to lead me on.
I don't want to lead her on, yeah.
But it is a good approach to run through it. You might have to have another conversation with them, but you don't have to do that one in person. You can speak to them over the phone. And yeah.
But that's for me, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe for a lot of people it's fine, because at least I threw it out there already. So let's say that they can't understand me, or they're not really in the mood to talk about it right now, but at least they're like, okay, I know he wants to speak to me about breaking up. As Aliza mentioned, I haven't chickened out. I said it already.
Yeah.
But now, the hardest part is out. Now you just have to explain yourself, which before you break up with someone, you should really think mentally and emotionally why you're breaking up with that person. Like,
Have the reasons.
Have good reasons and explain yourself. Don't be mean. Don't be rude. Don't put the blame on them, as Aliza mentioned. And when you come in, you just say it right off the bat. You said the hardest part, and now you just have to explain yourself. And if he or she doesn't understand what you're saying, even though you've explained yourself,
That's their problem.
that's their problem. It's not your problem. So if we were to continue a little bit more before the video ends, because we have to end the video soon.
Oh man, okay.
So let's continue.
Wait, what do you mean? We're doing great. We have a great time. What are you even talking about?
No, you are 100% correct. And that we did have a good time, and we had a lot of great moments. The thing is this. And then right here at this point, we can go into what Aliza mentioned. Start to have her say yes to me. So for example, I could say something like, wouldn't you agree with me that in a relationship, like, you always want to feel that spark, conversations are flowing, you feel this, and this.
But we have that.
That is true. We do have that. The thing is, but first I had her say a bunch of yeses. She said yes, then she gave me an obstacle.
Even if she's just nodding, guys.
Then she gave me an obstacle, but we have that. And I say, well, it's true, no, we do have that. The thing is that me personally, as the time has gone by, I've been able to evaluate and just see our relationship. And me personally, this is all me. I'm not blaming you, Aliza. I'm not blaming you, whatever her name is. I'm not blaming you.
Me.
I'm not. The thing is that I do not feel like this relationship with you and me can go somewhere. and I don't want to keep leading you on for another year, 2 years, 3 years. I mean, do you like to be led on? Do you want to be led on?
But you led me on for 6 months.
It's not been leading on. We've had a good time, but I've come to realize, because when it comes to emotional things, very deep things, that was not me, that was the door. A lot of deep emotional things, it takes a while. And I've come to realize that even though we've had a good time and we have a good friendship and we did go out, for me it's just not, it's not enough for, and then I would go into my reasons.
But one thing that you guys have to keep in mind is no matter how this person reacts, don't engage them and don't get to that behavior pattern. Like if they start cursing you out, you do not get to curse them out back.
No.
If they get upset about something, you got to keep your calm. Don't, like, I know in my head, like when people start yelling at me when I'm trying to be nice, like I get to start getting like this, like, oh really, you know, like that attitude. Drop it.
Avoid it.
Drop it. You just let them speak, because then also in the future, if they want to call you back and be all angry, they're going to be a little embarrassed because of how they behaved like that, where you did not react. But if you react, you're continuing that conversation and you want to end that conversation.
All right then, this comes our video. This is a longer video, but definitely packed with lots of information, bits and pieces of how to break up with someone the right way. Please like this video.
Yes,
subscribe,
please do subscribe. Remember
comment.
guys, this is only for 6 months and before, not for like ending a marriage or anything like that.
No, this is, you have anywhere for 6 months before and maybe even a little bit more. We're probably gonna have to do another video if it's a longer one. But guys, enjoy this video. Please share it. Tell people to follow us.
Please let us know what you think.
And write your questions down here. Write your comments. And of course, guys, till next time.